Going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. New year, not new me, but definitely a new year. Got great opportunities on the horizon. I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to start filming inside of the studio, because I just came from the studio, and my girl Chris, I can't wait to show y'all around, has redone the whole thing. So it's absolutely phenomenal. The Millionaire morning show is going to be different. Everything is going to be completely different going forward. All right. So I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to be able to get back in there, because I have a flight to catch to Vegas. I got to do CES, and then I got to head over to Portland, and then I got to go to DC. And so I don't know, maybe sometime, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get in there next week, the week after next, or maybe I'll do a show on Friday, like do a show, that test show or something like that to work the kinks out. I don't know. Anyways, looking forward to a lot of new content that's coming inside of the studio, but I'm gonna be crisscrossing the country back and forth in the meantime. But more importantly, the thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that yesterday I actually turned in my computer in corporate America, and I'm gonna be updating my LinkedIn this week to reflect the job that I was on. Now, I had worked at a major bank. I'm still kind of apprehensive. I was talking to some of my mentors and my friends, and I was trying to gauge whether or not I should put that out to the general public as far as where I worked at now that I can't be doxxed anymore. And they were like, no, Anton, I'm not so sure about that. And then I was like, yeah, but if I put it on LinkedIn, but my LinkedIn is still private. So I don't know what that looks like. I'm going to talk about the bag chasers because I got to do a video today. So we're going to be doing a live stream about budgeting later on today, later on this afternoon. So I'll go over that with them because I want to tell them exactly what my package was and stuff like that. But earlier this year, all right, so let me give y'all a little bit of insight, right? So first and foremost, I've retired from corporate America again. The first retirement was late 2019. I had retired from corporate America. My businesses was doing really well. I had made a lot of money, and it was around the time that I started to show a little bit of money because, I had broke out. I had did really well for myself, and I believe I was 37. Yep, 37 years old. I had retired, and so I thought that I was just going to be going to Pistons games and season tickets and sitting on the floor and just having a good time, and that was going to be the end of things, right? And so what really wound up happening was the pandemic hit, which kept us all in the house. And then I moved to Miami. I took me and my family down to Miami, and we lived there for 4 months after the pandemic hit because Florida was still open relatively. And I started having this life transformation to where businesses took off even more. Content creation became more a part of my life, and that took off even more. And then a friend of mine, I was enjoying, just living my life, La Vida Loca, retired from corporate America. A friend of mine, or a colleague that I had did business with before, asked me to come in and check out what was going on. And this was, some time later, I think well over a year or 2 years later, or a year and a half later. A friend of mine had asked me to come in and check out what was going on with a company that he worked at because they wanted to implement some new UX practices and things like that and build out a team versus doing contractors, right? And I'm gonna give you all the whole story because I want you to understand what the mindset is that came along with how I got to this point in the first place. And so I went in, and I was just coming in to kick it with him and visit him and see what was going on. I never had any expectation whatsoever in joining that company or joining that bank, which I now am retiring from. And I was just telling him and giving him some direction because he, had came in as a C-suite executive, and I was giving him some direction on how he should build out the practice and stuff. And so he was like, all right, basically, Anton, name your price. What is it going to take to get you back in the game? And I'm like, heck no. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the capacity. There's no way in the world that you can convince me that it makes sense. And why would I ever do that? Because I already got a whole lot of stuff going on and a lot of motion happening in other places that I didn't expect to have this much motion in. I had expected to just focus on my daughter, going to her taekwondo events, going to the Pistons games, and then casually running my businesses that was doing well because I had made enough money for myself to where I haven't, basically I never had to worry about money again. And we wind up negotiating, and the part of the negotiations was I didn't want a huge base salary. I wanted more motion when it came to equity. And so I talk about this inside of the Bag Chasers and Patreon, and how it is that you're supposed to negotiate your packages once you get to a certain level. And so I wanted to focus more on the long-term equity. I wanted to focus on the bonuses. I wanted to reduce the amount that I was going to take as far as base salary. And more importantly, I didn't want to have to be required to go into the office. So even though I would go into the office here and there, I didn't want to be required to do that because it was going to affect what I had going on with it, when it came to content creation. So long story short, I wound up taking that position, and it was a very, very fruitful relationship. I had only expected to be there for a year and a half. I wound up being there for roughly, I think, about 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. And I made a ton of money, and I had a ton of equity, and everything went well. And every year I would think to myself, I met the threshold for getting my equity and my bonuses and everything like that. I'm about to get out of there. And then they would incentivize me to stick around and say, okay, well, look, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this. Fast forward to this year, I have been thinking about, okay, so this is the year. I really don't have the capacity to continue to do this. And also, more importantly, they're starting to require for people to come back in, and that wasn't a part of the deal. So I plan on retiring this year again. And so I had planned on quitting. And then right around the time that I had started to craft what my exit strategy was, we sold a part of the business that allowed for us, or that we've built up over these last few years. We sold that, and it became very profitable for the company. So obviously that boded well for me. And part of the conversation was, okay, Anton, do you want to now move into a different department and kind of play that role there and transform what we did over here to there? Now, I will also say that my friend that brought me in, he wound up moving over into a different company because obviously, as I teach, they pay you more to leave as far as the companies that you then, are recruited from. He did really well at the bank, and, he took another opportunity, and so I'm still there. And so part of the reason why I didn't continue to get this corporate bag, because I'm an all money in type of guy. When I first took this position and I announced it on YouTube, people were saying that, oh man, you a sucker. I can't believe you working a corporate job. That didn't age well for a lot of y'all, because a lot of y'all are dusty. Some people is whining about getting laid off and all of that stuff. And so what I preach to people is similar to what I see happening actually in real life. There are tons of people that are getting that corporate bag, and they doing other things that come along with it. Obviously, you got to make sure that you don't sign a non-compete agreement. You got to have that conversation with whoever it is that you do business with. They need to understand, coming in with their eyes wide open, of what your expectations are. Now, if you're doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, you can take a chance, and that's on you. But my point is that, the opportunity presented itself. It was just too good to be true. I'm not going to pass up free money in a sense. It was right up my alley of what I did professionally, and so I took advantage of that opportunity. I think you guys should take advantage of the opportunities that's presented to you, and then leverage the money. One of the benefits is that I didn't need the money, so I never spent the money, and I was able to negotiate a better package because I didn't have to depend on it to maintain my lifestyle. That's the key to success, is that you don't want to depend on it to maintain your lifestyle, which makes you more likely to negotiate a better package and get a bigger bag. And so the equity benefited me significantly because the stocks within the company, or the value of the company, exploded, right? Everything exploded during or after the pandemic, so on and so forth. And then in addition to that, I was able to stay on longer than I expected to, because it made sense for my lifestyle. I didn't have to upend anything. And I was able to continue to work from home for the majority of the time, and then go into the office because I was able to manage a good team and put together a good team. Anyways, fast forward, they sold a portion of the business that we was overseeing. We built it up. It became incredibly valuable. They sold it over into a completely different bank. And the question became, would I want to move over into a completely different division of the company, and or have to come into the office on a regular basis? And that was just a no-go. That was a no-go. I don't think that people should not go into the office, especially if that's your main source of income. For me, it's not. I've never spent a check. Every single check has always, obviously I pay all of my obligations as far as taxes. So it's post-tax. I also obviously contribute to the Roth 401k, which is also post-tax. So everything continues to grow tax-free. And then the bonuses, the equity, and all of that stuff, Anything that I made in addition to that, it just all went straight into my brokerage account. So all of that money was reinvested. I never took a check. I never took a dime out of it, outside of what my daughter's allowance is. You know, I had her allowance direct deposited from it, but I never took any money from that. I can't. But I played it beautifully. And the way that I played it beautifully was, instead of quitting, I wound up being able to renegotiate for a severance package. And so I got paid out to quit. So long story short, even though my last day was yesterday, I still get paid 2 weeks after that. So I'll get paid all through this month, since the beginning of the year, beginning of 2025. I didn't use any PTO, so all of that accumulated all the way through the year. I get that as a payout, and then I get a severance check that's pretty massive, that I was able to negotiate, and I get paid out for that too. So instead of quitting, basically I was able to negotiate a severance, and they paid me to leave. And one of the things that I was able to do is that I was able to keep my mouth shut. And so this is another lesson that I want to share with you guys. A couple different things that we're going to take from this. Number one, the entire time that I was in corporate America, which I didn't expect for me to grow this platform as big as it got at the time, you know, to the time that it has, I've been able to keep my mouth shut. Most of y'all, and I just seen a video that y'all sent me the other day on my email, most of y'all talk too fucking much. Stop telling all of your coworkers what you got going on outside of work. Keep it cordial, keep it very vanilla, plain. Yeah, I'm married, whatever, so on and so forth. But if it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't benefit you, don't fucking brag in corporate America talking about you a content creator, you a TikToker, you YouTuber. All you doing is bringing attention to yourself. I made that mistake in the last position, and it started to create a bit of animosity for me amongst other people, but it didn't affect me, thank God. And then obviously I was able to retire, and so it really didn't make any difference. But you have to separate it, right? And where I worked at, especially in information technology, user experience, being a director of user experience, and then also on top of that, I worked with a lot of people that was not a part of the culture, that wasn't necessarily engaged in a political aspect of things. So I was able to keep quiet. Maybe some people noticed, or maybe some people didn't. All I know is I have never gotten any pushback, even though they knew, you know, the guy that recruited me, he knew what I did or whatever. But outside of that, I never got any kind of comments, questions, pushback, any of that type of stuff from what I did separately outside of what I did in corporate America. Shut your motherfucking mouths. You keep talking too much about what you do, and it is coming back to bite a lot of y'all. You don't make enough money outside of what you do in your corporate job or what you do for a living to be talking and getting fired from what you do. This is not the time to get fired. This is the time to buckle down, build out your other sources of income, and run it up. So that's number one. Number two, you have to get all money in. Stop letting these people keep telling you that you shouldn't have a regular job. Benefit packages, healthcare, insurance, life insurance, vision, dental, 401ks, all of that. Get all of the dollars that you can, and then do your businesses or other things outside of it and around it if it's really that meaningful to you. Everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody is not meant to start a business. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't start a business. But what I am saying is, get the money. Get it how you live, and stop letting these people try to finesse you out of a bag. That's number two. And number three, and this is very, very, very important, lower your lifestyle and then allow for yourself to be able to contribute as much as you possibly can into your investments. And that is how you build wealth. That is how you increase your net worth. It's not about how much money that you make. It's how much money you able to invest. Not even how much you keep, how much money you able to invest going forward, all right? So I say these things because I want to inspire you to do great things. Here's the caveat. Am I open to another corporate position, or am I just fully retired? And that's why I want to use that term loosely. It's like a rapper, right? You never really stop dropping albums, or you never really start spitting bars. You never really stop writing. Absolutely. If the bag is big enough and it's convenient enough for what it is that I'm building, and I can fit it in around what I got going on, I 100% would be open to it, but I'm not gonna search for it. I'm not interested in just getting a job. I'm not interested in just getting another bag and none of that. I'm doing fine. I'm well. Life is good. I'm good with that. But I'm always open to just the right, perfect opportunity. And so I'm never too good at work in corporate America. I'm never too good to go and get another bag. I look at it as another opportunity to do great things. So yes, yesterday was my last day. I went and dropped off my laptop, and life is good. All right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. If you got any questions, leave them inside of the comments. I'm about to get ready for the Millionaire Morning Show. And then later on this afternoon or this evening, I will be doing a live stream on Patreon as far as budgeting and all of that stuff. And you can ask me any questions that you want with regard to that. And it's a more advanced budgeting thing. It's not just a regular, hey, this is how much you get out of your check and whatever, so on and so forth. It's way different. I suggest you guys to tap into the Patreon and let's get this money. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Hopefully you guys getting your year started off right, and you're not fumbling the bag. I'm going to see y'all on the Millionaire Morning Show. Peace.